Let's go back to the argument, because then I think that the governor was almost out of office.
Well, but it almost.
Yes.
You just said almost.
Because then a lot of people didn't actually get it quite right what was exactly happening if the governor was out of office.
Yes.
And if the deputy had taken over until we saw the resignation or the purported resignation letter of the deputy.
Yes.
And if you look at that section which you quoted now, which is 3065,
yes,
it says the notice of resignation of the governor and the deputy of a state shall respectively
yes,
be addressed to the Speaker of the House of Assembly and the governor,
and
the governor of the state.
Yes.
So I'm sure the governor was already out, so leaving him with just the other person or the other office for him to drop his resignation letter, which is the Speaker of the State Assembly.
Yes, but the point now is that, I mean, as you have read, that's the correct provision. But the point is that we don't, I mean, in law, you cannot say he was almost out. The point is that he was still there, and he ought to have submitted. There was an ulterior motive, which any court of law should probe into. He ought to have submitted that letter, even if it was just 5 minutes before his own boss would go. As long as he was still there, he ought to have submitted that letter to his boss. The fact that he knew his boss was there and he elected to submit that letter to a wrong authority should, in fact, show everybody that he had an ulterior motive. And I just told you the ulterior motives. Number one, he wanted to avoid the odium of impeachment. That's number one. Number two was the clever artifice that, well, if just in case it's only my boss that is impeached and I'm not impeached, then although I have resigned now, but I'll be able to prove in the court that I didn't resign properly, that I ought to have submitted my letter of resignation to my boss, who was still there, and not to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and therefore I should succeed him. And that's what has happened. And you cannot profit by your own right.
But again, in this section, again...
Yeah, I mean, by your own wrong.
I understand. In this section, I'm trying to look at it because it is a conjunction we have here. So there's nothing like or here.
Yes.
306.
Yes.
5.
No, there's no or.
So, meaning, it seemed that he also did the right thing, because he should give it to both of them.
No, he should give it to one of them.
No, section 3065.
Yes.
And it says, addressed to the Speaker of the House of Assembly and the governor of the state.
Yes, that is respectively.
Respectively means each one gets.
If the governor wants to resign, he should address his own letter of resignation to the Speaker. Because he has no other boss in government. Now, but if the Deputy Speaker wants to resign, the Deputy Speaker has a boss, and his own boss is the governor. And he ought to address his own letter of resignation to the governor, which he did not do. And then what I'm saying now is that the reason or reasons why he did not address his letter to his boss, the reason why he deliberately misdirected his letter of resignation has to be probed into. And these are the things I've just told you.
But the court probed into it. And then
but that's why I say this judgment, the Court of Appeal should have no problem in declaring this judgment as having been delivered per incuriam.
Yeah, but was it clear to you?
Yes.
If the governor was still the governor at the time his letter was written, the deputy?
If the governor was still the governor?
As at the time the deputy governor wrote his letter.
No, but that's what we are saying. The governor was still governor.
And so, if the governor was still governor,
yes, it was still
why
governor.
will the Speaker receive a letter from the deputy?
No, but that's what we are saying. You see, there must have been some conspiracy somewhere in this matter, and we don't resolve that conspiracy in favor of the person who concocted the whole thing. You're trying to say the person who is guilty of this conspiracy or one of these conspirators must be rewarded for his conspiracy or conspiracies. And that's what has just happened. No, you don't do things like...
If his prayer is that, look, I did not resign.
Yes.
I was compelled to. I had a gun to my head.
And
then the court then ruled that they did not strictly follow the stipulations of the 1999 Constitution.
Yes.
to follow through with the process.
Yes, but that's
Isn't
what
they
we're
refer
saying.
to as
Because
abuse
you see,
of process.
even when you say they did not follow, they did not strictly follow. If they did not strictly follow, yes, they didn't strictly follow, and therefore he ruled the way he did. Now let me just say, in jurisprudence, lawmaking has two circles. You have the first circle is the circle of law, and then the second circle is the circle of morality. Now, these two circles are not mutually independent. They are because there is always a point of intersection in those two circles. That small point of intersection is the major thing. In other words, morality rubs on the law. You don't make law without some element of morality, then it will be bad law. So even this constitution, which is the ground norm, of the Nigerian legal system, respects that rule, that there must be some element of morality in every law. So in all of this, how come you did not submit your letter of resignation to the appropriate authority? There is an element of immorality in it. Just like the rush to swear in this person, to swear in Ngilari.
They said immediately.
Immediately.
The court ruled that
but that's the point.
he had to be complied with immediately.
Because this man, the other person, Fintiri may want to appeal, or he may even have appealed.
But are they supposed to wait for him to appeal?
Well, I know, but you see, trying immediately could destroy the rest of this matter. Because you see, there is section 308. One lawyer will then come in court that is now a governor. He's now a governor, and he is now protected by the provisions of section 308. So you see, swearing him immediately was unholy. Very immoral.
As declared by the court?
Yeah, well, yes, as declared by the court, because there must be one reason why this hurry is all about. Why the hurry? When you know that it could, stand in the way of the opponent.
No, but the court can still remove him.
Well, I know, but you see, that I didn't like that. But then we must put accent on this type of judgment. I am saying with the profoundest respect that judgment was delivered per incuriam, and it would not be difficult for any court of appeal to set it aside.
Okay,
because the popular maxim in law is that you don't profit from your own wrong.
But in this kind of matter, there were those who said, look, it was premeditated on the part of the speaker. He planned all of this and thought it was well executed. Because in the first instance, part of the reason was that the deputy was not even supposed to have been impeached.
Yes.
From the stories making
the
rounds.
No, but his name was there for impeachment to start with.
But it went on that he wasn't impeached.
Yes.
He chose to resign.
So
the speaker accepted his letter.
Yes.
Then went to the house and announced this had happened, and then the governor was out.
Yes.
And there's a part of the reason was that the speaker and the deputy governor are from the same local government.
Yes.
And so if the deputy governor was to become governor, the speaker will lose his seat.
Yes.
Because you can't have both persons at the helm from the same constituency.
Yes.
And so the speaker had to get him out in order for him to still be relevant in the scheme of things.
Yes.
And all that beclouded his
Okay, so now that's what I described as conspiracy. So in this web of conspiracies, I mean, you can't remove the present governor, the person who was, hurriedly sworn in. You can't remove him from this web of rank conspiracies. You can't remove him from it. And therefore, when a judgment is delivered, would you reward one of the parties to this web of conspiracies?
Why do you see it as a reward?
I mean, it's a reward. It's not made governor, even if it was clearly part of the conspiracies. It was clearly part of it. Because now that he was not impeached...
Who was part of it? The speaker?
The governor. The deputy governor.
Now the governor.
Now the governor. He was definitely part of the web of conspiracies. Because he was to have been impeached. And then his name was subsequently removed. Now, as soon as his name was removed, he now said, okay, now I can rely on subsection 2. If you read subsection 2 of the if you read subsection 2 of section 306, I can now rely on section 3 that I submitted my letter wrongly. Section 3, written under his hand and submitted to the appropriate authority. And then section 305, which says he could only submit to the governor. He now pounced on these two sections. The moment he discovered he was not impeached.
I'm getting the picture now, but again, I think we should also look at what the Speaker has done here.
Yes.
Because if you look at section 2,
subsection 2?
Yes, 306 subsection 2,
yes.
It says well, the resignation of any person
yes.
from any office established by this Constitution shall take
yes.
effect when the writing signifying the
yes.
resignation is received by the authority or person
yes.
to whom it is addressed,
yes.
or by any person
yes.
authorized by that authority or
yes.
person to receive it.
Correct.
So
it is like this. Let me just explain that.
So in this case,
yes.
the Speaker shouldn't have even received it if he believed so much on 306
yes.
2.
Yes. You see, that's what we are saying. The Speaker ought not to have received it, but he received it. Why did he? You see, because we are talking of, this conspiracy thing. Now, so the Speaker ought not to have received it. He not only received it, the letter was debated on the floor of the House. Right? Now, he ought not to have received it. He received it and he presented it for debate. Now, the deputy governor ought not to have sent it to him in the first place. He did send it to him. And you must probe into the whys and wherefores of his decision to send it to misdirect his letter of resignation. We must probe into it. And the court, I insist that the court ought to probe into the whys and wherefores of this man's decision to misdirect his letter.
Well, what about the receipt of the letter elsewhere? Can't we also probe the receipt of the letter?
Of course, you can probe into all that, but you see, there is a conspiracy. I just called it a web of conspiracies. And then you now want to take a decision. You can't say that, this constitution has not been fully complied with, it ought not to have been sent to without probing into the whys and wherefores, without trying to establish the fact. Okay. That there was a wrong somewhere on the part of this deputy governor, who is now governor, in sending that, in misdirecting that letter. And then are you now rewarding that wrong?